I can't tell you how much I sympathize with the way everybody has had to endure this unbelievably testing and challenging time.
By the time the gates of Buckingham Palace slammed shut behind her, Camilla had already lost everything. The statue she had secretly commissioned, the power she had spent decades building, and the man she believed would never turn against her. But what drove one of the most calculated women in royal history to a move so bold it shook the entire monarchy overnight? The answer starts with a single confrontation behind closed doors, and a name neither of them could stop saying: Diana. The night nobody was supposed to see. On the morning of October 9th, 2025, royal guards arriving for the early shift stopped dead in their tracks. Standing in the center of Buckingham Square, where no structure had existed the night before, was a towering bronze statue, over 3 meters tall, several tons of metal, and the face staring back at them was unmistakably Camilla's. No approval had been announced, no transport vehicles had been logged, no construction permits had been publicly filed. Yet there it stood, bold and immovable, positioned in the one location traditionally reserved for memorials to deceased monarchs. Her expression in bronze carried no warmth, no gentle smile, just cold, fixed pride, eyes locked directly on the palace gates, as if daring anyone inside to respond. Within the hour, cameras flooded the gates. BBC, Sky News, the Daily Mail, every major outlet ran the same image. Camilla cast in bronze, dominating the square like a self-declared sovereign. The palace spokesperson was photographed, leaving their residents tight-faced and silent, refusing every question. That silence only accelerated the speculation. A Sky News reporter said it plainly during a live broadcast. For over a century, no statue has been placed in front of Buckingham Palace without royal council authorization. The real question is who approved this, and why? Crowds swelled quickly. Some left flowers at the statue's base. Others arrived carrying photographs of Diana, placing them quietly at Camilla's bronze feet with handwritten notes that read simply, "You cannot replace her." What Charles said that started everything. The statue did not appear from nowhere. It was the direct consequence of a confrontation that had taken place just days earlier inside the study at Clarence House. Spread across the table that afternoon was a confidential dossier outlining Charles's approved memorial for Diana. A tranquil garden of white roses surrounding a plaque engraved with the words, "In memory of the light that never fades. Personal, peaceful, permanent." The moment Camilla entered and saw the plans, her composure collapsed. She picked up the file, scanned it, and slammed it back down. "So you still haven't let her go? 30 years later, and she still outweighs me in your heart." Charles responded with exhaustion rather than anger. "This is my duty as king. Diana represents something the country needs to remember." Camilla's voice dropped into something colder. "And what about me? I endured the hatred, the judgment, everything, and I stayed beside you. Don't I deserve acknowledgement?" Charles turned slightly away. "You already have everything, Camilla. Don't ask for history as well." That single sentence ignited something that could not be walked back. She straightened, her tone turning precise and final. "You want the world to remember the woman who haunted your entire life? Then I'll make them remember me. Through bronze, through stone, through something you will never be able to erase." She walked out before he could respond. The door slammed. A teacup trembled on the table. And that same night, Camilla made 3 phone calls that set everything in motion. The sculptor who told the truth. While the palace maintained its silence, a young Guardian journalist named Eleanor Shaw was already pulling at threads. Shipping records, art contracts, Royal Cultural Council approvals. 3 days of digging led her to a quiet street in Paris and a sculptor named Henri Duval, the man whose name appeared on a cargo container labeled Royal Heritage Sculpture that had arrived at Dover 2 weeks before the statue appeared. "She knocked 3 times," he answered, His hands were still marked with bronze dust. Without recording, he told her everything. Camilla had contacted him 6 months earlier through an assistant, describing the commission as an official royal project honoring women of the dynasty. He agreed, assuming full institutional backing. Then Camilla herself arrived in Paris, accompanied only by an elderly secretary and a plainclothes bodyguard. "She wasn't like the media portrays her," he said quietly. Her voice was soft, but her eyes were cold and deep. She didn't talk about art. She talked about memory. He described her exact instructions. No smile, no softness, an expression that communicated strength without needing approval. When he warned the result might feel cold to the public, she responded with a faint smile. Sometimes, to earn respect, you must make the world afraid of you. When he asked why she had chosen the location directly in front of Buckingham Palace, she answered without hesitation. "That is where the world looks at the monarchy. If I stand there, I will never be forgotten. When people think of the Queen, I want them to think of me, no one else." The transportation and installation had been executed with precision. Camilla had used her honorary patron role within the Royal Cultural Council to secure temporary approvals under the cover of a ceremonial square renovation. Workers operated only at night under strict non-disclosure agreements. Around 2 a.m. on the night of installation, Camilla herself appeared wrapped in a dark coat, standing in the shadows supervising every detail. When the statue was finally secured, she approached it slowly and stood before it in silence for nearly a minute. Then she whispered to no one in particular, "From now on, no one can erase me from history." Eleanor's article ran on The Guardian's front page 2 days later. The final line quoted Camilla directly. "If history only remembers dead women, I will force it to see the one who is alive." Britain erupted. The meeting that ended everything. The following morning, Clarence House hosted a meeting with no prior notice and no media presence. Charles sat at the head of an old oak table, his face pale from a sleepless night. William sat across from him, expression hardened. Anne arrived with a stack of newspapers, the front page headline visible to everyone in the room: "Camilla's statue divides the kingdom." Camilla entered last, dressed in a high-collared, deep blue gown, her face composed, almost amused. Charles spoke first, his voice rough with strain. The morning she left. The next morning was gray and cold. Construction crews arrived at the square before dawn. Under the watch of reporters and cameras, they began dismantling the statue. Each strike of metal rang out across the empty courtyard. When the head finally broke free and fell, the early light caught its warped surface. Camilla's bronze face split open, eyes fixed upward at the sky. She walked to the main gate alone. No ceremony, no official vehicle with escort, no member of the royal family present to say goodbye. Just the mechanical grinding of excavators behind her and the sound of her own footsteps. She stopped once and turned back for a final look. Her voice was rough but steady. "At least once, people saw me standing there." No one answered. In an upper room, behind half-drawn curtains, Charles stood motionless, arms folded, watching the courtyard below. William stood in the hallway as the black car rolled toward the gate. He spoke briefly to the guard beside him. "Close the gates." The sharp metallic clang echoed across the empty square. What she left behind was not the legacy she had planned. It was a fracture in stone, a cleared pedestal, and a question the royal family would be living with long after the cameras moved on. Is the desire to be remembered ever truly separable from the fear of being forgotten? And at what point does the pursuit of legacy become the very thing that destroys it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The line between ambition and downfall has never looked thinner than it did the morning those gates closed.